Hello, New Testament Baptist Church family and friends. I want to just take a moment as pastor to make you aware of a change in the policy for attending the services at New Testament Baptist Church as of today, Wednesday, July the 22nd. We are going to be in compliance with the City of Hamilton bylaw recently passed that requires the wearing of a face covering while inside the building. So everyone who comes in the building, unless you meet an exemption, must be wearing a face covering. We will have some here if you don't have one of your own. Face covering has been defined in the bylaw as a medical or non-medical mask or other face covering, such as a balaclava, bandana, scarf, cloth, or other similar item that covers the nose, mouth, and chin without gapping. This bylaw has enforcements. There are requirements on the church and requirements on the attender. Basically, for the attendee, it's the wearing of a mask. But they are requiring the operator of the establishment, which would be the church itself, the pastor of the church. We are required to post a sign at the entrance about the bylaw. We're required to take reasonable steps to ensure that no member of the public is permitted entry to or remains within the building without wearing a face covering that meets the requirement. We are also we're required to ensure that any person who refuses to comply with the bylaw and wear the face covering, we are to ask them to leave, and we are asked to report them to the proper authorities. The fine is $500 for the operator, so the church would pay a fine upon being found guilty of violating the bylaw. We would be charged a fine of $500. Individuals may be charged a fine of $200. So the bottom line of all of this is, unless you meet the requirements for an exemption, you must wear a face covering while in the services at New Testament Baptist Church. We are not wanting to infringe upon your right or to force you to comply, but we, by the requirements of the bylaw, must enforce this bylaw. So you will be asked to wear one. If you're uncomfortable wearing a face covering, we understand that. We ask you just to stay home. If there's not a valid reason for you not to wear one and you just don't want to, then just stay home and enjoy the service by means of live stream. We would appreciate that. Let me just give you a couple of exemptions. Any child who is under the age of 2 is exempt. Any child below the age of 5, between 2 and 5, who refuses to wear one or the parents are unable to persuade them to wear one is not required to wear one. Any person who has an underlying medical condition which inhibits their ability to wear a face covering, and you don't have to prove that to us, you just have to state that to us. You may end up having to prove it to the city if they are checking, but if you have an underlying medical condition which inhibits your ability to wear a face covering, you are exempted. If you are unable to place a face covering on or remove it without assistance, you are not required. And if you are covered under the Human Rights Code, basically a person with a disability that makes it difficult to wear a face covering or difficult to communicate while wearing a face covering, you are also exempt. The only other exemption would be those who would be on the platform. So the speaker, the song director who's on the platform, who is in a space that is designated only for them and not for the public, is not required to wear a face mask. So that briefly defines what will be happening, and we thank you for your gracious spirit. This is something that we feel we must do to honor the Lord. Basically, we've adopted this thought that we are serving God by submitting to our government in their attempt to save lives. And so thank you for your compliance, and hopefully we'll see you tonight. And if you have any question, don't hesitate to call me, contact me, or the church office. God bless. Have a wonderful day.